Hello students, this is Swati Agrawal. So students, in the previous part of the chapter number 14, that is the sources of energy, we have learned the various types of the conventional sources of energy. Now in this part we are going to discuss about some alternative of the conventional sources of energy, that is the non-conventional sources of energy. Now student, as an alternative sources of energy, so students, with the technological progress, our demand for energy increases day by day. As you know that our lifestyles are also changing. We use different types of the machines to do more and more of our tasks. As you will see in your house also, we are using more and more machines. So students, our basic requirements are also increasing as industrializations improves our living standards. As our demand for energy increases, we also need to look for more and more options, or we can say for more and more sources of energy. We could develop the technology to use the available or known sources of energy more efficiently and more wisely. And we also have to look out for the new sources of energy also. Any new source of energy we seek to exploit would need the specific devices developed with that source in the mind. So student, we have to look, or in this part we are going to discuss some of the latest sources of the energies that we seek to tap and the technology designed to capture and store the energy from that source. Now students, let us discuss some alternative, or we can say some non-conventional sources of energy. In the non-conventional sources of energy, first thing it is coming in your mind is the solar energy. Yes, as it is abundantly present on our earth. So students, the sun has been radiating an enormous amount of energy at the present rate for nearly 5 million billion years and will continue radiating at that rate for about 5 billion years more. But students, you know that only a few part, or the small part of the solar energy reaches to the outer layer of the Earth's atmosphere. Nearly half of it is absorbed while passing through the atmosphere, and the rest reaches the Earth's surface. So, based on this technology, based on the solar energy, we are going to discuss the two devices which is using the solar energy. That is the solar cooker and the solar cell panel. Moving on, let us discuss the two devices which runs on the solar energy. First one is the solar cooker. So students, solar cooker is very simple in design and in mode of function. It is usually made from the mirrors. So students, in the solar cooker, plain mirrors are placed inside a rectangular box. The light reflected from the plane mirrors concentrates the solar energy inside the solar cooker, which generates the enough heat to cook food. But students, if you will see that this device only useful at the certain times during the day, because the limitation of using this type of the device is overcome by using the solar cells that converts the solar energy into the electricity. A typical cell develops a voltage of 0.5 and can produce about the 0.7 watt of electricity when exposed to the sun. A large number of the solar cells are combined in an arrangement called the solar cell panel, as you have seen in the previous slide, that can deliver the enough electricity for the practical use. So students, the principal advantage associated with the solar cells are that they have no moving parts. They require little maintenance and work quite satisfactory without the use of any focusing device. Another advantage is that they can set up in the remote and in inaccessible areas in which laying of a power transmission line may be expensive and not commercially viable. That means they are easily accessible to the remote areas. So now students, these solar cells are made up of the silicon. So the entire process of the manufacture of the solar cell is very expensive. Silver is used for the interconnection of the cells in the panel, further adds to the cost because the silver is very costly these days. So in spite of the high cost and the low efficiency, solar cells are used for only scientific and the technological applications. Because students, use of the silver and the silicon, they are very high cost. So for the personal use you can use these solar cells, but these solar cells are used for some of the scientific and the technological applications. Scientific applications like the artificial satellites and the space probes like the Mars orbiters use the solar cells as the main source of the energy. Radio or the wireless transmission systems or TV relay stations in the remote location, they use the solar cell panels. Traffic signals, these days the traffic signals, calculators and many toys are fitted with the solar cells. The solar cell panels are mounted on specially designed inclined rooftops so that the more solar energy is inclined or is incident over it. The domestic use of the solar cell is, however, limited due to its high cost. So students, till now we have discussed the energy which we are getting from the sun and the devices which using the sun energy. Now let us see how we can utilize the energy from the sea. Now students, first is the tidal energy. So what is tidal energy? So students, due to the gravitational pull of mainly the moon on the spinning earth, the level of water in the sea rises and falls. If you live near the sea or ever been traveled to these places near the sea, you will observe that how the sea level changes during the day. So students, this phenomena is called the high and the low tides, and the difference in the sea levels gives us the tidal energy. Tidal energy is harnessed by constructing a dam across a narrow opening to the sea. A turbine fixed at the opening of the dam, it will convert the tidal energy to do the electricity. As you can guess, the locations where such dams can be built are limited. So another energy is the wave energy which we get from the sea only. So students, similarly, the kinetic energy possessed by the huge waves near the seashore can be trapped in a similar manner to generate the electricity. The waves which are generated by the strong winds blowing across the sea. Wave energy would be a viable proposition only where waves are very strong. A wide variety of the devices have been developed to trap the wave energy for the rotation of the turbine and the production of the electricity. Now students, moving on, let us discuss the another type of the energy which we get from the sea, that is the ocean thermal energy. So students, in this, the water at the surface of the sea or the ocean is heated by the sun, while the water in the deeper section is relatively cold. This difference in temperature is exploited to obtain the energy in the ocean thermal energy conversion plants. These plants can operate only if the temperature difference between the water at the surface and the water at the depths, that is up to the 2 kilometer, it should be 20 Kelvin, or we can say 20 degrees Celsius or more. The warm surface water is used to boil a volatile liquid like the ammonia. The vapors of the liquid are then used to run the turbine of the generator. The cold water from the depth of the ocean is pumped up and condenses the vapor again to the liquid. So students, here the energy potential from the sea, that is the tidal, wave and the ocean thermal energy, is quite large, but efficient commercial exploitation is difficult. Now students, let us discuss the geothermal energy, which is the another type of the non-conventional source of energy. As you can see that geothermal is made up of the two words, that is the geo and the thermal. Geo means the earth and the thermal means the earth. So students, due to the geological changes, molten rocks formed in the deeper hot regions of the earth's crust, which are pushed upward and trapped in the certain regions, and these regions are called as the hot spots. When underground water comes in contact with these hot spots, steam is generated. Sometimes hot water from that region finds the outlet at the surface. Such outlets are known as the hot springs. The steam trapped in the rocks is routed through a pipe to a turbine and used to generate the huge amount of electricity. The cost of production would not be much, but there are very few commercially viable sites where such energy can be exploited. There are number of the power plants based on the geothermal energy which are operational mainly in the New Zealand and in the United States of America. Now students, let us discuss about the nuclear energy. How is nuclear energy generated? So basically in a process called the nuclear fission, the nuclear energy is generated. So what happens in this process? In this process, the nucleus of a heavy atom, for example like the uranium, plutonium or thorium, when bombarded with the low energy neutrons, can be split apart into the lighter nuclei. When this is done, a tremendous amount of the energy is released if the mass of the original nucleus is just a little more than the sum of the masses of the individual products. The fission of an atom of uranium, for example, it produces the 10 million times the energy produced by the combustion of an atom of carbon from the coal. In a nuclear reactor designed for electric power generation, such nuclear fuel can be part of a self-sustaining fission chain reaction that releases the energy at a controlled rate. The energy released can be used to produce the steam and further they generate the electricity. Now, the major disadvantage of the nuclear power generation is the storage and the disposal of the spent or the used fuels. The uranium still decaying into the harmful subatomic particles, that is the radiations. Improper nuclear wastage storage and the disposal result in the environmental contamination. Further, there is a risk of accidental leakage also of the nuclear radiation. The high cost of the installation of the nuclear power plant, high risk of the environmental contamination and the limited availability of the uranium makes the large scale use of the nuclear energy prohibited. Now students, in the previous slide we have learned about the nuclear fission. That means a single nuclei is converting into the lighter nuclei. So in the nuclear fusion, it is opposite of the nuclear fission. In the fusion, combination of the two nuclei of the light animals takes place. So students, currently all commercial nuclear reactors are based on the nuclear fission. But there is another possibility of the nuclear energy generation by much a safer process which is called as the nuclear fusion. So students, basically fusion means joining the lighter nuclei to make a heavier nucleus. Most commonly hydrogen or the hydrogen isotopes to create the helium. So students, it releases a tremendous amount of the energy. Such nuclear fusion reactions are the source of energy in the sun and the other stars. It takes the considerable energy to force the nucleus to fuse. The conditions needed for this process are extreme. Millions of degrees of temperature and millions of pascals of pressure. The hydrogen bomb is also based on the thermonuclear fusion reaction. The high temperature generates the sufficient energy for the light nuclei to fuse, and a devastating amount of the energy is released. Now students, till now we have studied the various sources of the energy. Now let us learn some of the environmental consequences. So student, we know that exploiting of anything is very bad. So exploiting any source of the energy will disturb the environment in some way or the other. In any given situation, the source we would choose depends on the factors such as the ease of extracting energy from that source, the economics of the extracting energy from the source, the efficiency of the technology available, and the environmental damage that will be caused by using that source. Though we talk of the clean fuels like the CNG, it would be more exact to say that a particular source is cleaner than the other. We have already seen that burning the fossil fuels causes the air pollution. In some cases, the actual operation of a device like the solar cell may be the pollution free, but the assembly of the device would have caused some environmental damage. So now students, these sources which will get depleted someday or the said to be exhaustible, they are known as to be the non-renewable sources of the energy. On the other hand, if we manage the biomass by replacing the trees we cut down for the firewood, we can be assured of a constant supply of energy at a particular rate. Such energy sources that can be regenerated are known as the renewable sources of energy, as we have learned earlier. Now, renewable energy is available in our natural environment in the form of some continuing or the repetitive currents of the energy, or it is stored in such large underground reservoirs that the rate of depletion of the reservoirs because of extraction of the usable energy is practically negligible.